housekeeping rules. I'm sure you all know them, but I've got to go through them as well. The meeting is being live streamed. It's via YouTube. I'm Councillor Danny Brooks, Chairman of the Lincolnshire Waste Partnership. To my right is Councillor Richard Wright. He's the Vice Chairman. The meeting is being recorded and is being live streamed via the Council's website. There is no test of the fire alarm planned for today. In the event of the fire alarm sounding, can everyone please exit the chamber through the rear doors of the chamber and make your way to the car park at the front of the county offices. Unless, of course, it's burning there, then we'll go out that door. Members should be mindful that the high-performing loop system is sensitive to any type of noise in the chamber. Ambient sound from the chamber immediately prior to the meetings and during open session may be picked up by the loop, and therefore councillors should conduct private conversations outside of the chamber. The loop will be muted at the close of the meeting. When invited to speak, you should press the button on your microphone to make it live. Please speak directly into the microphone and press the button again to switch it off once you have finished speaking. Thank you. We'll go into the agenda item, and item 1 is apologies. Do we have any apologies?
Thank you, Chairman. I have apologies from Councillor Astill, who's from South Kesteven District Council, Councillor Butler from Boston Borough Council, Councillor Foster from East Lindsey District Council, and Councillor Smith from North Kesteven District Council. We also have apologies from Rob Gilliott from West Lindsey, and Alan Bowley is here in his place. Apologies have also been received from Steve Bird, City of Lincoln Council, and Simon Walters is attending in his place. We also have apologies from Chris Yorston from Lincolnshire County Council.
Thank you. Do we have any other apologies? Anyone knows that? Okay.
Hi, Karen Bradford is on her way. She's stuck in the traffic outside, so she said she'll be 10 to 15 minutes late. So just to let you know, she'll be here shortly.
Thank you. Okay, item 2, declarations of interest. Have we got any to declare? No, that's fine. We'll move on to item 3. Minutes of the meeting held on the 24th of June 2025. We need to approve these minutes. Oh, can we approve the minutes of the meeting held on the 3rd of October 24 as well? Any comments should relate only to the accuracy of the minutes. Has Yep.
Sorry, Chair, could I just raise a point of accuracy on the minutes at the bottom of page 4? It relates to the City Council deferring a decision on implementing paper and card until later in the year due to additional workloads. We've actually deferred the decision until 2027 with connection to paper and card. So we just need the minutes amending to say 2027. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Anything else on the minutes, anyone? No, thank you. We'll take a vote on the proposer and a seconder for the minutes. Proposed, seconded, all in favour? Thank you. That's carried. Okay, item 4 is partner updates. So I've got a list of where we can start. So I'll go down the list and I don't lose track as to where we are. So it's start with the City of Lincoln, if I may.
Okay, just bear with me a second, Chair. I'll just find my notes.
No problem.
So yeah, in terms of updates where City of Lincoln is since the last meeting, we're doing a lot of work, as we all are, on preparing for food waste at the moment. So we've appointed our contractor from September 26, but they'll be implementing, because it's our existing contractor, they'll be implementing food waste with us from April next year. So a lot of work's gone into planning that and planning the routes. We've also established a new team of 3.4 full-time equivalent officers to tackle bins on street. As you're probably all aware, we do have a considerable issue with people leaving their bins on the streets, particularly in terraced areas of the city. With food waste obviously planning to come in next year, we don't want to increase that issue with additional food caddies being left out. So we're investing very heavily in a team to try and tackle the bins on streets and get people to helpfully take them in preparation for food waste rollout. We're also doing a lot of work preparing for the new contract for waste and street cleansing, which, as I say, kicks in from September 26. This is a brand new way of managing a contract. It's an NEC4 contract, so the way the contract's managed is very different. So we're doing a lot of training for staff on how to manage that contract moving forward. And finally, the team have been heavily involved in letting our grounds maintenance contract, because that was up for renewal as well. So there's been a lot of time into that, and we've awarded that contract on Monday this week. So that's a quick resume, Chair. I don't know how much detail you usually go into, but that's a quick resume of where we are, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you. Do we have any questions for Simon? No? We'll move on then. Boston Borough, East Lindsey and South Holland. Is that you doing all three, Victoria? Okie doke.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Brooks. We'll start with South Holland. South Holland, Cabinet made the decision to change the waste delivery model last month. So we will be, work starts now. We'll be putting a mobilisation plan together to bring the new service into South Holland residents, working closely, obviously, with county colleagues, because having done the change from bags to bins previously, it's a big piece of work. So we want to make sure that we engage absolutely thoroughly with residents, and we make sure we deliver it in the best way we can to ensure that the service gives us what we need in terms of recycling rates. So that's work starting now. Vehicles will be ordered this week for South Holland. In East Lindsey, pretty much the same as Simon said, really. The mobilisation plans are in place now to bring food waste in. East Lindsey and Boston, because we had a new fleet due anyway, we've got a whole new fleet for both councils coming, so they're all ordered. And yeah, the work now, bringing that to fruition, really, like the rest of colleagues here are doing. And just to note, really, the exceptionally busy summer that East Lindsey's had on the coast. So a lot of work being undertaken there to make sure that the tourist areas are kept as clean as possible. And then just for Boston, last thing for Boston, we've ordered some additional equipment to ensure that the Boston town and the local parishes are clean. So we've ordered some sweepers that we can move about. We can transport around the borough, and we've also just about to start. We've extended the depot, so we've managed to extend the current depot and just about to start demolition of a building that's on there. So we'll all be ready for when the new vehicles arrive and new food waste service starts. That's it, thank you.
Thank you very much. Does anyone have any questions for Victoria?
Not a question, but as a person who sat here the longest, I think, I never thought we'd see the day, Victoria. How can we celebrate this day and age, wheelie bins going in, but we are.
It's a monumental decision, I think, was taken.
I'm ordering the stickers for the first bins now, like I always said I would. They will be sent to the House of Lords as a photograph.
Very good, very good. North Kesteven District Council, do we have an update?
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. So since we met last a month ago, various initial briefings have taken place with respect to the upcoming food waste collection changes. So on the 7th of July, all NKDC members were invited to a seminar. On the 10th of July, at North Kesteven District Council held a Town and Parish Council forum, and representatives were hosted by us in Sleaford. And also on the 10th of July, we hosted a drop-in session before NKDC Council meeting. Each of those provided great feedback. They've helped inform their questions and answers that the partnership are collating, and some of the imaging and wording for residents' guidance. Also, NKDC supported the County Council's first ever Environment Day held at the Lincolnshire Showground last Tuesday, 15th of July, alongside partners LCC and West Lindsey. Officer feedback of their attendance and the impact was extremely positive. And this weekend, NKDC and the partnership will be represented at the largest village show in England, the Heckington Show. You might be aware that visitors come from all over Lincolnshire. So, whereas the focus will naturally be on the proposed NKDC collection activities, there will, like at the Lincolnshire Show, be efforts to share the proposed Lincolnshire approach. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Questions? We've got one from Richard.
No, I'd just like to add, actually, at the Town and Parish Forum, we really hammered home the caddies, not bins message. So that's gone out to all the towns, and so they're all forbidden from saying bins to the parish residents. And another one that David's not... I had to sit on my hands at the last meeting when there was a bit of a discussion about talking about plastic recycling going forward. So subject to planning permission, we've now been able to announce that Clean Planet have secured a site at Sleaford Moor Enterprise Park, and that will be a plant that will process plastic. I'm reading my notes here, up to 25,000 tonnes a year into a pyrolysis type oil. So basically it's an oil for industry, so they won't have to use virgin oil. So it's a bit of a coup, because it's only the second plant in the country of 5 that's going to be, and so this is the first one's just about to go through commissioning at Teesside. The second one will be here, and they've already secured all their contracts already. So a lot of that flimsy plastic waste that we've all been trying to struggle with, and we were going to have a discussion on, and I'm sat there going, is because it's now effectively going to be hopefully dealt with through the county. So a lot of that will now be taken up.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Any further questions from anyone? No. South Stephen.
Thank you. So our main update is around the route restructure, which is going ahead on the 15th of September for South Stephen residents. It's been 12 years since we last did a route restructure, and as a result, 90% of residents will experience a change in day, and those not experience a change in day will probably experience a change in time, so we're asking for a full reset. The comms for that, the main public comms, will start on the 4th of August, when we'll start stickering bins, letting residents know that their bin day will be changing, and then mid-August we'll write out to residents and let them know that the specifics of their bin day. And like I say, a large proportion of the district are going to be affected, so we do expect that there will be some noise on perhaps social media and other media platforms around it, but it is really going to make our service more effective and more efficient in what we deliver, so it really is the right thing to do. On top of that, we are in full swing for food waste. So food waste at South Kesteven has gone on the back burner a little bit whilst we're pending the route restructure, but we'll pick up again as soon as that's done. But in terms of background work, you know, we've done our caddies through the LWP. We have our vehicles that are due to arrive in December. We've got looking at a comms plan and working with Emma on all of that. So although for the moment work at South Kesteven will die down a little bit on food waste, pending that round restructure, we're in a really good place and we'll pick it back up after. Also, the new depot project is progressing really well, so we can't take any food waste vehicles on our current site. There's no room for them, so we're depending on the new depot being built to give us that space to accept those vehicles. But at the minute it's progressing on schedule. It's looking really good. If you're driving past it on the A1 you can see it. It's a great site, and we're really excited to get that up and running, and like I say, that will coincide with us getting those vehicles around Christmas time. And the only other thing really is that our members have been fully briefed this week on the route restructure and the food waste. There was lots of questions around food waste, specifically around the size of the caddies, and what we'll do in things like communal areas, flats, you know, lots of the terraced areas and things. So moving forward, we'll be doing a piece of work on how we can make sure that some of our more difficult areas for waste collection can also be involved in that food waste collection as well. That's everything from South Kesteven. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do we have any questions Councillor Kay? No? West Lindsey District Council then, please.
Thank you, Chair. And it might be slightly briefer in Rob's absence, but I'll do my best to cover the key points. So yes, like many other authorities here today, our preparations for food waste continues apace. In the last few weeks, we've kind of started with a bit of a soft launch on our comms, heading out with bins to the Lincolnshire and other local events. And I think, like Councillor Wright said, the message is caddies, not bins, is going down very well. So we've been very pleased in terms of the initial feedback, but we know there's a long way to go in terms of winning hearts and minds. We're having another look at bringing some investment and improvements to in-cab technology, which will support the work that we're doing in terms of collections going forward. And we will start late autumn, or we're in discussion already with our HR colleagues, ready for a late autumn start on the recruitment strategy that will bring our workforce in to actually service the food waste collections. Noting that we've got an item on comms coming up and some issues that we've kind of flagged in terms of risks for us around the southwest ward. I've started to initiate an improvement project looking at a number of issues that I think will be relevant to the item that we're going to be discussing later. We're going to be looking at improvements to some of the collection infrastructure ahead of the rollout of the food waste bins. We will probably need to do some wider public realm improvements to facilitate that. And most importantly, it's about, again, a hearts and minds engagement campaign. So I've met with the workforce, I've primed them. I'm meeting with the communities next week, so they'll be primed. So opportunity to see how that plays out over the late summer and early autumn. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Do we have any questions for Alan? We're sailing through today, aren't we? This is good. It's good. No, that's perfect. Thank you. And I have to say, that, like Richard said earlier, using the term caddy seems to be a lot better than bin. As soon as you say bin, but when you say caddy, it seems like it's more acceptable. I don't know why, but it's a perception. Thank you. Lincolnshire County Council.
Thank you, Chairman. So, since we met last, an update on the repaint scheme. We gave you an update at the last meeting that said we had 3 community repaint stores open on our HWRCs. We now have 4, with Lincoln having opened on the 11th of July. From this week onwards, it'll then be 1 every week, every Friday. So Sleaford will get their repaint store this week, followed by Market Raisin, Boston, Gainsborough Bourne, Spalding, and then Skegness. So by the first week in September, all sites will have those. We've now directed over 6,500 tonnes of paint since the first one of those was opened, which is phenomenal, and that's going really well. In terms of infrastructure works, a bit of an update. So at Grantham Waste Transfer Station, the adaptations around food waste are well underway, including the implantation of a new fire suppression system, all on track, touch wood, she says, and going to plan. We had planning permission previously agreed for the Boston site. We've since had the Louth planning permission granted. Sleaford is in consultation and preparation for the works at Gainsborough for that planning permission are ongoing. We have secured now and have the keys in hand for a temporary solution at South Highcombe, in addition to where we have recycler down on Boundary Lane at the moment. So we have those facilities now for receipt of City of Lincoln and North Kesteven's North food waste in the short term, whilst we look for a longer term solution. So from an infrastructure point of view on food waste, we're probably as good as we can be at this point. Other updates, as David mentioned, last week we held the first Environment Day for Lincolnshire school children. It was aimed at primary year 6 children. We had just over 250 very enthusiastic students come on the day. They had 3 sessions. One was around a recycling Olympics, so sports day a la waste and recycling. We had a support from the LCC music team, and the children had 2 interactions of learning to use iPads to do music, as well as singing and creating an eco-warrior song that I swear to God I'm still going to hear in my sleep. And then the 3rd session was around working with some partners, and I thank those that were here West Lindsey, North Kesteven, we had some of our contractors and partners, as well as other departments in LCC, come along for children to learn about the environment, including things like public right of way, sustainability. Lincolnshire Fire and Rescue were there, and I have to say it was a resounding success. We've had already exhibitors that were there asking to come back next year, as well as other exhibitors asking to come, and we're starting to already have requests from schools that were there and that weren't, so we're looking at how we build on that, but that was an absolute success, so thank you to everybody involved. And lastly, Emma will do, as the paper's introduced, an update on the communications plan for food waste, but building on work at the Lincolnshire show and at the LALC session that Emma was at representing us last week. We're taking a lot on board, and the food waste comms are growing by the day. We've also, just as well, in reaction to some of the initial social media posts, done some myth busting and frequently asked questions comms that are just going as well. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Do we have any questions for Rachel? Councillor Bunny?
Thank you, Rachel. Just going back to the repaint, how is that being expressed to the community?
So as we launch each of them, the communications team are going out and doing some promotion and a lot of social media and press releases as well that it's coming. It was in the last, not the current, but the last edition of County News, so we will continue to promote that it's happening. Word of mouth it's gone a little bit mad, I have to say.
Yeah, that was what I was meaning. So is it LCC communications, or are you passing it on to districts and town councils as well?
Working in partnership with the district and towns as well.
Thank you. Karen, have you got a question?
Hi Chairman, sorry I'm late. I've got stuck in the fabulous Lincolnshire traffic this morning on Carhome Road, so apologies for being late. I've got nothing for Rachel. I know the team are doing a fabulous job, and it's great to be here to represent Chief Execs from Lincolnshire. I did have some comments on the minutes. Now I know you've approved the minutes, but I do believe that they're not correct, but I'm quite happy to take that at the appropriate time.
Do you want to do it now, or do you want to wait till after?
I'm quite happy, Chairman. If Rachel's finished, then I'm quite happy, and you finish that item on the agenda, I'm quite happy to take it as part of the forward plan, or as an additional now.
Yeah, let's do it now then, I think.
Okay, thank you. Yet again, I've been missed off the circulation list as the Lincolnshire Chief Exec representative. I have emailed a number of times to make sure that I'm on the agenda for calling of the meeting. Councillor Wright is listed as representing Lincolnshire leaders, Greater Lincolnshire leaders and Chief Execs. That's incorrect. Councillor Wright, I hope you don't mind me raising this. Councillor Wright, you're here to represent Greater Lincolnshire leaders.
I'm very happy not to represent Chief Exec.
Yeah. Didn't think you. I thought you'd be quite happy with that one. And of course, I'm here to represent Greater Lincolnshire Chief Execs. Again, I missed off the minutes. And I do think if we are noting what officers are in attendance, it should be more than Lincolnshire County Council officers, especially when other officers of other councils are actually speaking. So I would like to see that other officers are named in minutes as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have we got that all down, Rachel? Yep. Thank you. Move on to the next item. Item 6, Lincolnshire Waste Partnership Terms of Reference Review. This report is by Kay, I believe. Thank you.
Thank you. Very quick introduction for this one. So the Lincolnshire Waste Partnership's current terms of reference were last reviewed in 2023, and they do state within those terms of reference that the partnership will review its governance and the terms of reference every 2 years or sooner as required, and therefore it was agreed that a review was due and to take place at this meeting. So based on this report recommends that the current terms of reference are discussed and reviewed. Thank you.
Thank you. So we're going to discuss those now. Does anybody have any questions or points to make? Councillor Bunny.
Thank you. They seem very sensible to me, and I would therefore like to propose we accept them.
That's quick. Richard?
Just potential suggestion, I think it's been discussed elsewhere, and that's as we look to the wider Lincolnshire now with regards to everything we're doing, that not to make full members, but would we consider as part of the terms of reference as committee, putting North and North East Lincolnshire on as invited to at least, you know, try to align what we're doing as services. It wouldn't give them voting rights or anything, but we ought to start trying to line this up, bearing in mind where we know, regardless, as I said before, regardless of how the unitaries are formed in Greater Lincolnshire, we are now Greater Lincolnshire, and we are spending a huge amount of waste on waste unnecessarily because of the disjointed way we're doing it. So it may well help to line things up and potentially make it more economically an option for Greater Lincolnshire if we were all aware of what everybody else is doing.
Thank you, Richard. What are our thoughts on that? I think we're now a combined authority, so we perhaps ought to do, really. Do we need to just take a vote on that, or do we just invite them?
Well, if I might, I'm quite happy to agree with Richard on that. So if we could propose and just put that as an amendment that we include them as associate members and move on.
Yep, that's fine. So we've got a proposer and a seconder for that then. So we'll take a vote on that then. All in favour? That's carried then. Thank you. Anything else on the terms of reference from anyone? No, we're all good with that then. Thank you. We'll move on to item 6. This is Rachel again. Waste Communications update.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm purely going to do the introductions. So at the last meeting, we asked for an update around the food waste communications. Thought this was an ideal opportunity for Emma Staff, who's been appointed as the jointly funded LWP lead for communications, to come and introduce the work that she's been pulling together on the food waste comms at this point. So I'll hand over to Emma.
Thank you. So the communications plan attached to the agenda that supports the rollout of the weekly food waste collections across Lincolnshire as required by the Environment Act 2021. The plan is vital to ensuring successful implementation from March 2026. The communications plan aims to support the successful county-wide implementation of food waste collections. The goals are to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, cut waste to incineration, and improving recycling rates. We're reaching out to over 320,000 households across Lincolnshire, with a special focus on hard-to-reach groups such as flats, HMOs, students, non-English speakers and communal living spaces. We're also targeting housing providers, schools, community groups, councillors, staff and local media. To ensure people in flats or HMOs engage with the service, we will provide tailored communications and work closely with landlords and housing providers. For communal areas, we're also offering translated materials and looking at using local champions to increase engagement. Our messages will explain why food waste collections are being implemented, why they matter environmentally, financially and for the community. We'll explain how to participate using the caddies and liners and provide reassurance that support will be available throughout. To ensure misuse of the caddies or putting the wrong waste, our plan includes clear guidance, myth-busting videos and printed pictorial materials with delivery of the caddies. We'll monitor contamination rates and respond with targeted education and support. We're using a multiple channel approach, including direct mail, social media, newsletters, school programmes, website information, community events, radio, signage and vehicle livery to ensure wide coverage. As previously mentioned, we will deliver letters, leaflets, digital guides, caddy stickers, myth-busting videos and in-person engagement. Local champions, including councillors and community volunteers, will help support this, along with translated materials in key areas. We've already started joining a number of town and parish council meetings, sharing information which has so far been very well received. We will provide toolkits, FAQs, staff training and consistent internal messaging to ensure that all partners and staff are informed and aligned. We'll track participation, contamination levels, awareness and communication reach. Feedback, including web analytics and customer service data, will be used to refine our approach. We've planned for potential challenges like misinformation, language barriers or uneven participation. We'll address those using proactive data-led responses. Each district or borough will have a tailored approach to reflect local needs such as student housing, language barriers or space constraints. In summary, this is a robust, inclusive communications plan designed to inform and support all Lincolnshire residents. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rachel and Emma. Does anyone have any questions or points? Councillor Baker.
Thank you, Chair. The quality of the stuff that I've already seen has been outstanding. The visual identity, the brand identity has been outstanding. It's very easy to recognise what these videos are going to be about, and I really appreciate the use of videos and easily shareable content that can be signposted to members and then the wider communities. And I do really want to push that, because we know that 1 in 6 adults have a reading age of below the age of 11 in the UK. So this sort of visual, this sort of verbal description, explanation and reassurance is going to be, for that section of our community, the only comms that actually cuts through. And I do want to just seek a little bit of reassurance that in our written communications we do acknowledge that, and we do use infographics, we do use pictures, and we avoid what I very easily slip into, which is council speak and speaking right the way up in the stratosphere, using these big words, where some cartoons can do an awful lot of good work. But thank you so much for everything that's going on and for how early it started.
Thank you.
Thank you. Richard?
Yeah, if I can, Emma, picking up a little bit on what Councillor Baker said about reading age, I think you've been told about the feedback from the towns and parishes at NK with regards to the pictures of the 5-litre caddy and the bigger caddy. Yeah. You know, and are we doing something about that fairly swiftly to change that? Because at the moment they think the same time.
Yeah, that was, that's already been done. The visuals in the leaflet was amended after the town and parish meeting, and that was what we took to the LOLT conference on Wednesday last week.
Thank you. Any further questions? Karen?
Thank you, Chairman. Thanks Emma for that presentation. I know the quality of the work that's going on. Can I just ask, on page 26 of the communications plan, it says budget and resources to be confirmed. What are we waiting for on that? Because I know Kay did a presentation yesterday to our corporate management team and our members around that, but I know we're joint funding the comms position, but we need to make sure that there's a budget so you've got something to use. Thanks.
Thank you, Rachel.
Thank you, Karen. Completely agreed. And at the next meeting of strategic officers, I've spoken to Kay as the chair. We need to understand what that looks like. As we say, we're all jointly funding Emma's position, which is, as we can see, that the quality of the work. What we don't have is a centralised budget. So Emma can produce a certain amount of materials and graphics, etc. But if we want to use something consistent, if we wanted to do something qualitatively, like some wider reaching videos that unfortunately don't have my face in them, that we were looking for some sort of those sort of things, we need a budget. So Kay and I are popping onto the agenda for SOWG, and I think it's like to be very supported, isn't it, as part of the transitional funding that we've had, that we pull some money into a budget for things like that are then signed off by the strategic officer group. So that's what that comment refers to. Do
you want to come back, Karen, or is that everything?
No, it's completely supported by me. We can't be expecting to get the message out if we haven't got the money to do it and behind it. And I do hope that all partners will be supportive of that. And I suppose if they're not, then it does just need raising up to chief execs and leaders to discuss that further. The only other one was you've got go live dates as the 30th of March. I didn't think it was the 30th of March. I thought it was about the 14th of March. I think it's a couple of weeks into, or is it a go live 30th of March, but then a softer launch as we go forward?
Again, I'll pick that. So I think this is almost indicative of those, and those dates are fluid, Karen, and they'll be based on each and every district and borough in terms of your dates of rollout. But there'll be some, I think go live is the collection date there or thereabout at the moment. They'll be bespoke to each and every district, and obviously there'll be the pre-coms that need to go out as well.
Thank you. Councillor Bunny?
Thank you, Chair. I appreciate that this policy here is being put forward to ensure that we have an efficient system of food waste collection, etc. But when we actually look at one of the best ways of reducing waste is not to produce it in the first place. So I'm just wondering where on page, or just on top of page 16, the second bullet point under purpose and scope, where we talk about the aims to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, cut waste incineration, improve recycling rates, whether we should be putting something in there about purchasing within your needs and that sort of thing. If not now, certainly in the follow-up as we get the scheme up and going.
So thank you, Councillor Bunny. Completely agree. And this plan is the detail around the food waste per se specific. Another piece of work that we're working on that Emma's been leading is we're just about to sign off the waste minimisation comms plan, which isn't something to start then. That's an ongoing piece of work, and that sits in there, and in there is some information there, not only around food waste, but about only buying what you need, being careful, you know, in terms of what you throw and can you reuse. So that, if you like, this is a discrete plan for food waste. Overarching and around the outside of that is a waste minimisation comms plan, which again Emma is leading on for us.
Thank you. Did you want to come back? No, that's fine. Do we have any other questions from anyone? Simon?
Thank you, Chairman. It's just a quick question because obviously I'm sort of catching up on some of this, so forgive me if this has already been debated. But in terms of the comms campaign, it looks really good and really effective, so fully supportive and moving quite early with some of the communications. But clearly, post-Christmas and into the new year, that's when people will really start to be in the mindset then for this arriving, and then the caddies will start to arrive. So is this comms plan will start to really focus those resources after Christmas and really escalate from that point on?
Absolutely, and I guess that for City of Lincoln, for South Kesteven, North Kesteven and West Lindsey, who do plan to go live in April, that's where the main focus will be, and having some consistency as well of messaging across all of those districts at that time. So yes, it will ramp up at that point, and we've also got a team of officers who will be out doing a lot of public facing stuff as well.
Lovely, thank you, Chair.
Councillor Baker?
Thank you again. I'm just a little bit confused. Maybe I've spent too long in front of the television this week with the summer holidays starting. Pages 45 through to 51 all appear identical, even to the titles, and I respect our colleagues in Boston Borough Council immensely. I'm just confused why they get 6 bites of the cherry on this particular report.
Yeah, so that was just a template of what I can pull together. So after this meeting, if this comms plan's approved, I will then be going round all the district communications team and waste services teams and getting that plan ready. So yes, all tabs are the same, but it was an idea of what's something that we can do alongside the comms plan to help the project teams.
Thank you. Any further questions? No, I think this report's for noting, so all in favour of it? What? Yep, that's carried, thank you. Item 7, Lincolnshire Waste Partnerships Forward Plan. Opportunity to consider future items to be added to the partnerships work programme. Councillor Baker.
Thank you, Chair. I alluded to it in our last meeting regarding some of the challenges that Bourne Household Waste Recycling Centre is facing. And I think that some changes that are coming down the pipeline, with that recycling centre being at the southern border of the Lincolnshire Waste Partnership, do need proper addressing. I've taught science for 15 years, so I know the plural of anecdote is not data, but I have had a large number of people raise some concerns about how that site is being used. But that's stepped up recently with the new 137-acre 1,055 house development at Deeping Gate, which is literally just down the road, but is in Peterborough City Council authority. And without a change, I am concerned that Lincolnshire Waste Partnership ratepayers are going to end up subsidising Peterborough City Council, because at this time, Bourne Household Waste Recycling Centre requires no proof of address, no booking system. Anybody can turn up subject to them being in an appropriate vehicle. And there is no reciprocal arrangement with Peterborough City Council. So you do have to have proof of address and book in. We've already got very long waiting times, we've already got very long queues, and the layout of the site means that once you're in the queue, it's very difficult to get out of the queue. And I would just like to have something formally on our forward plan to review the use of the HWRC. So if all of this is just anecdotes and people picking the worst of the data, I'm more than happy to accept that, but I don't think any of us can sit here at the moment and say that categorically one way or the other. So what are the usage statistics? What's the trend? Where are the customers coming from? What's the average waiting time? And then based on that, what do we do? Should we reintroduce a booking system? Do we require a proof of address? Do we go for the nuclear option and look to extend or expand the site if we can? It was suggested last time, I did raise it, I just can't see it on that forward plan. So if the wheels are already turning, Chair, please forgive me, but I'm going to keep banging that drum at the southern border.
Thank you. Do you want? Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. So yes, wheels are already turning to review usage of the HWRCs and what's going on and how we might look to improve them going forward. As it stands at the moment, your anecdotally is probably we don't have the mechanism other than to measure tonnage of how many people are going through the site. So we're looking at what our options are. So I can assure you that Bourne HWRC in particular, because of some of these concerns, is well on our radar, as is the usage and understanding what's going through all of our sites. So there is a piece of work, and I'm happy that we put a review of those onto the forward plan, either for the October meeting, if that helps in terms of what our plans are.
Thank you, Rachel. Karen?
Thanks, Rachel. That's really quite reassuring. But can we work with highways to look at using some of their monitoring equipment that they put all over our highways to monitor flows and traffic flows and stuff? Because it will just be a simple traffic flow unit to put in for Bourne, just to show for a period of a month, just to show what that vehicle movement is, and that will certainly help and either dispel local perceptions of problems or certainly highlight some of the issues that we do need to address quickly.
Yep, that's on the list. Yeah.
Thank you, Karen. Rachel? Richard?
Yeah, I'm going to go pick up on the more controversial bit of Councillor Baker's, because I totally agree with it. Because what worries me is we scrapped the booking system because there was a bit of an outcry about it instead of letting it bed in. And it's when I go to a recycling centre and I see that the skips, the collectors, whatever you want to call them, are full, and so people are told to put the waste in. So, for instance, paper card or recycler is put into general because there's been there's been such a high volume delivered, there isn't the capacity to take it separately. And I sit there thinking, how many of our curbside bins would we have to discount for the amount that goes into one of those containers over a weekend? And it's sort of, it's not that I'm saying we're wasting our time. What I'm saying is it has a huge impact, because now we can't program in the right size and the right number of the right receptors at the sites because we don't have a booking system. So before, with the booking system, we were able to program them in. Now we can't, and I think we should have given it a bigger, a better chance, a longer chance to bed in, because they do exist in other places. So I think it should be reviewed about the booking system for HWRCs.
Thank you. Did you want to?
It's one of the things, Councillor Wright, that we are indeed looking at. We are fortunate that over the last 2 months in particular, we've had very little mixing of waste streams for that reason. So, however, I'm not saying it's not happened, because it has. We've had very little of it in comparison before, but we are looking at all those options, and I completely agree with you. In order to understand the volumes that are coming, be able to manage that effectively, to be able to continue to keep waste streams separate and recycled effectively, there are various options, one of which is the booking system that we'll review, whether that's potential to put back in.
Can I just come back as well? It's the public perception. So we're agreeing a comms plan, for one thing, and it only takes 2 or 3 people to go on Facebook after they've been to the HWRC and say, what a complete waste of time. I've just been told to put it all in the skip, you know, and that does happen. So, and then you've got to fight that comms again. So we spend all our time trying to do positive comms, and then we undo ourselves on that basis. So we're always going to struggle unless we try and do something to get this right.
And another piece of work, we're actually looking at that site experience. So we've done some initial exploratory work. We're looking at the site experience from a customer point of view at the moment and progressing that as part of the review of the HWRCs.
Thank you. Simon?
Yeah, in terms of the forward programme, just a quick suggestion for the February meeting. We've obviously just had the communications strategy represented to us. February still gives us a chance to assess how it's going, how it's landing, what else we might need to tweak. So it might be worth just having an update specifically on that at the February meeting, Chairman.
Thank you. Any further for the forward plan? I mean, I've got to agree with Councillor Baker and Councillor Wright. When people are in a big queue and they get to the rubbish, you're rushing to get your stuff out. And if they say just chuck it there, whether it's full or not, people are rushing because they've been in a queue for half an hour. There's people behind them in the queue. So, it does need looking at, which is what we are reviewing now. So if there's no further for the forward plan, that brings this meeting to a close. That's the last item. It's a short meeting, but it wasn't a very big agenda because obviously we had a meeting not so long ago, and this is just to get us back on schedule. So thank you everybody for attending. We appreciate that, and we'll see you at the next one. Thank you very much.